From forever taxed to never taxed, Roth conversions promise to deliver you to the promised land of no taxes. Countless videos on YouTube, articles scattering the internet, and ever-eager advisors tout the benefits of this strategy. But there is a rather steep price of admission. And sometimes that price is more than just that line item tax you end up paying as a direct result of your traditional IRA withdrawal for that conversion. From experience helping hundreds of clients, it's important to not get caught up in the hype and to thoughtfully consider all aspects of this important long-term tax planning decision for your unique situation. Let's dive in. Welcome back to my favorite financial minds on YouTube. And for those of you who don't know me yet, my name is Steven Spicer. I'm a certified financial planner along with several other designations, a fiduciary with 15 years of experience in the industry, and author of the #1 Wall Street Journal best-selling book, Stop Investing Like They Tell You. And it's my goal to help you not get killed in taxes and to overcome these significant risks to which mainstream advice leaves you exposed. In this video specifically, we're exploring the other side of the ever popular Roth conversion strategy. In short, a Roth conversion is where you take retirement funds that are in a traditional retirement account, a traditional IRA, for example, and convert them, move them into a Roth IRA. You effectively withdraw the funds from your traditional account, paying taxes on them as if they were ordinary income for you in that year, and then redepositing them into your Roth account. This strategy can make a lot of sense for many retirees, especially during the period when your income is the lowest, right after you've retired, but before Social Security and potentially other income sources turn on. For those few years, your tax bracket may be lower than it ever has been or ever will be again. Roth conversions during that time can seem like a no-brainer, potentially saving you hundreds of thousands in legally avoidable taxes over your lifetime. We dive into a detailed example of that in this video. But as I said earlier, the promised land of no taxation comes with a steep price of admission. It's hard for some people to cough up a large check to the IRS today to watch their net worth drop by 6 figures when they don't have to. Now, of course, that's exactly what a financial advisor is for, to help you entirely evaluate your options here so that you can make a fully informed decision. It may be painful to see that big tax bill today, but the government doesn't let you defer those traditional IRA taxes forever. At some point, when your required minimum distributions, RMDs, kick on in your 70s, Uncle Sam is going to want his pound of flesh. And that has the potential to be much more uncomfortable, much more damaging to your financial plan than the tax hit today. I detail everything you need to know about RMDs in this video. Now, there are a lot of reasons to convert, but there are also some very valid reasons to not. Some may be more applicable than others to your unique situation. The first reason is just that Roth conversions are permanent. So you need to be careful. There are no backsies.
No backsies.
Conversions used to be much more flexible. You used to have a large window where you could recharacterize a conversion if you later decided you converted too much or just changed your mind for whatever reason. And maybe that'll come back again at some point, but for now, you can't. The decision you make here is final. So let's make sure you are weighing all of your options or that you're working with someone you trust to help you with that. All right. Reason number 2 here is that you could miss out on the often underutilized, rather attractive tax strategy called Qualified Charitable Distributions, QCDs. Now, this strategy only makes sense if you are philanthropically inclined already. You plan to give some money to charity anyway. Because the standard deduction is so high right now, most people are not getting any tax benefit from their charitable gifts. Well, QCDs are better than deductions because they just get excluded entirely from income. We'll do an entire video on them in the future, but in short, starting at age 70 and a half, as the law stands now, you can donate a little more than $100,000 from your traditional IRAs instead of taking the RMD. Not only then is that $100,000 not taxed, but it is also not bumping up your income as far as the IRS is concerned, potentially pushing you into a higher tax bracket, which RMDs often do, costing you more money and also potentially triggering some phase outs of other tax deductions for which you might have otherwise qualified. By converting all or most of your tax deferred funds before 70 and a half, you're depriving yourself of one of the best tax benefits in existence. You're paying some taxes today for the Roth conversion when you could have delayed and paid absolutely no taxes on your already entirely untaxed savings via QCDs. Again, this is only really a consideration for those who are charitably inclined, but from experience, I know that includes a lot of you. Number 3 is another consideration that could potentially result in an even lower tax bill than your Roth conversion, but not as low as the QCD. Anyway, a big reason to convert today is to just get the tax out of the way versus the risk of higher taxes later. Well, that is absolutely something to consider for RMDs, but whatever you don't end up paying taxes on during conversions or RMDs, your heirs will be taxed on after you pass. So, what if you have a lot of kids? And what if they're in much lower tax brackets? As the law stands today, they have 10 years to withdraw and be taxed on their inherited IRAs. If you have a high income, even in those optimal post-retirement, pre-Social Security years, and you're trying to decide whether or not to fill up to the 32% or 35% tax bracket just to get your funds converted from traditional to Roth accounts, maybe it's not such a bad thing if some of this money passes to your heirs untaxed at your super high tax rates, so they can pay taxes at their potentially lower rates. Think about it. Whatever is left in those traditional IRA accounts after the death of you and your spouse will likely be split evenly among your children. Your $2 million IRA will be split $500,000 to each of your 4 children, for example. And they can divide their withdrawals from those accounts over 10 years. So an additional $50,000 to $60,000 or so. And then deal with the taxes on that in their 12% or 22% brackets, for example. So although they may find it inconvenient to deal with that additional tax burden, the math could actually work out in their favor, leaving them with a net larger amount once the taxes are all settled out. But that being said, this is a consideration that makes more sense if your spouse has already passed. If you're married and planning for the long term, you have to worry about what is called the widow's or widower's penalty. This is referring to the dramatic impact on a tax bill that the death of one spouse can have on the other. They move from filing jointly to single, which comes with a much higher rate, and they're probably getting less income at that point. We'll do a whole nother video on the widow's penalty as well. But anyway, as with anything, it's important to look at all sides. We need to weigh all aspects of the decisions we're making today at various points throughout our lives after we pass. Now, the 4th reason to not convert, or to at least consider converting less, is if you anticipate large medical bills later in life. Large medical bills paid out of IRAs will at least allow you to get somewhat of an offsetting deduction. If you've already converted everything over to a Roth IRA, you've already paid taxes on all of it, when, once again, in this case, you wouldn't have had to. All right, the 5th reason converting everything might not make quite as much sense for you is when there are any other benefits you're receiving from your particular current income level. A lot of deductions or credits are based on your current income level. Some deductions for which you currently qualify may have a threshold when they are no longer an option for you. When the IRS says, yeah, you make too much money, you don't need this tax break anymore. However much you convert from traditional to Roth accounts in a given year, as far as your taxes are concerned, you look like you are making that much more in income. So you risk raising your income, as the IRS is concerned, above thresholds where you no longer qualify for whatever those benefits are. The qualified business income deduction is a great example of this. This can be an incredible deduction for self-employed and small business owners, but if you convert enough, you risk phasing yourself out of this significant deduction. That's not to say that long-term it's not the right call. For some it may be, for some it's not. You just need to be aware of the tax dollar savings you'll be missing out on today and how that might impact you long-term if you didn't have to give it up today as a result of a conversion in order for you to be able to make a truly informed comparison and decision. Roth conversions might also affect financial aid similarly. There are unfortunately many nuanced credits, deductions, and taxes like these that phase in and out at various income levels. The income-related monthly adjustment amount, so-called IRMA, surcharge, is another example. But this time we're talking about having to pay more, not just missing out on a deduction. Once your income crosses a certain threshold, your Medicare Parts B and D premiums will increase. This is one that trips up a lot of retirees. IRMAA operates on a 2-year look back. So you do your Roth conversion this year and you won't see that spike in your Medicare bill for a couple of years. That can come as a bit of a shock if you weren't taking that into consideration when you first made the decision to convert. One final overarching risk that goes both ways here. A lot of my clients love the idea of strategically converting most of their money from traditional Roth accounts for the peace of mind it brings in the later years of their retirement. In part, it's like insurance against future tax hikes. But anything is possible here. We're talking about tax law, so we're subject to public policy risk. Congress could change things. I can't ever imagine this particular thing happening, but it is possible that they could say, actually, you know what? We need the money, so we decided we're going to tax all those gains you have in your Roth accounts after all. That's, of course, very unlikely to happen, but I think it's worth mentioning that the idea of public policy risk always looms over us, and it applies to so many things that we've discussed in this video: QCDs, RMDs, the QBI deduction, IRMAA thresholds, the currently historically high standard deduction, our ability to do Roth conversions in the first place. The list goes on. These are all subject to change from year to year. So even a well thought out and meticulously calculated plan to convert more and more of your account from traditional to Roth each year over the next however many, 5, 8, 10 years, will need to be monitored to see how new tax law changes might impact your plans. Planning around tax law like this can be infuriating. I get a lot of people coming to me stressed about how they triggered some tax trap or other, for example. And on that note, I guide you through how to avoid 3 of the most common tax torpedoes in this video. That'll help you next. I'll see you there.